Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another battle to the death for you today. We have the Wii Vapor versus the Benchmade Saibu. Two fairly pricey but very nice little sub 3-inch EDC knives, gentlemanly kind of knives. Two that I like a lot. I do carry both of these a fair bit. This one's a loaner; it has to go back. But while I've had it, I have been using it a fair bit. Really cool knives. I like this sub 3-inch size because, as I've said many times in these videos, I do live in a municipality where some areas of the city I'm only allowed to carry 3-inch or less. So I really like knives in this size, and these are two of my absolute favorites. They are both really, really nice knives, but let's get into the comparison stuff. You have $244 for the Wii Vapor. You're looking at titanium S35 VN, these carbon fiber inlays. Very, very pretty knife. This was one of the first when we gave up on the star screws and went to these really nice Torx screws. And they were blue. The first generation of these all have blue screws. So they've all got that. You're looking at S35 VN steel, which is okay for this price. Not mind-blowing. We'll get to that later, but not too bad. Titanium milled pocket clip. You have a carbon fiber backspacer. It's a really nicely made knife, as most Wii's are. It's a very, very cool, well-made knife. The Saibu is a collaboration with Saichi Nakamura, who Benchmade has collaborated with before. This is definitely the smallest of his designs. It's a very intricate and cool design, very, very Japanese, and I really like it. I'm a fan of Japanese culture in general. My sister's Japanese, so I do kind of just, I am kind of into Japanese culture, but a lot of really beautiful details on this. You got this nice quasi-bamboo thing here, the Kokobola inlays. We'll get into all that more, but you're at 20 CV steel on this, and cheaper at $214 versus $244 for the Vapor, so this is a lot cheaper. So we'll get into that more as we go on with the scoring categories. What are those scoring categories, you may ask? They are design and aesthetics, quality, blade, ergonomics, carry, deployment, and value. So we'll add all those up at the end, and we will pick a winner. The stats, let's do that first. We'll start out with the Benchmade because that's the page that I have brought up here. We have an overall length of just 6.79 inches, not very long at all. Blade length of 2.98 inches. Blade thickness 0.11. And you have a handle thickness of 0.48 and a weight of just 2.7 ounces. Let's pull up the Wii here. Overall length 6.9 inches, almost exactly the same. Blade length 2.95 inches, almost exactly the same. Blade length 0.12 inches. Again, very, 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 very close. You have a handle thickness of 0.56 and a weight of, again, 2.7 ounces. Now let's get into the full categories here. Let's talk about the design. We already have a little bit. The design and aesthetics. This one is a tough category to decide. I think that I know for sure from doing the review of the Saibu. I never did a full review on the Vapor. There's a whole lot of really good ones out there. By the time I get my hands on it, there was already a bunch. But I know this design is a bit polarizing. Some people don't like the Kokobola inlays. I love them. I think it looks great. I just love the detail of that, and I love this little, quasi-bamboo sort of pattern back here. There's even Kokobola inlays on the thumb stud. I think it looks fantastic. Nice little subtle deep carry clip and fair amount of billboarding on the blade. I will say that. I know this is a lot of billboarding on the blade, but I like it. I think it looks good. If you're into lanyard holes, this one is pretty minimal, but it will work. I just really like a lot about it. I really love the look of this. I really do. But I will say the Wii Vapor is also a very sexy looking little knife. It's a bit stabby looking, but a lot of people do really like that. It does come in a lot more colors. It comes in this gray, or this naked titanium. It comes in a darker gray and a blue. And you can get it with a DLC coated blade or with this stonewash blade. So I think this is a less polarizing design. than the Saibu is. I think I personally prefer the Saibu, but I think a lot of people will prefer the Vapor, so I'm just going to call it a tie on that one because I don't really know. It's not the most important category we have here anyway, but I love the details on the Saibu so much, but I know some people don't, so I'm just going to call it a tie. Quality. This is one, again, I listened to the people. I will say of these two particular examples, my Saibu was better quality-wise than the Vapor was. The Vapor had a bit of a detent issue that was super easy to take care of. It was a very, very minor little thing, and it went through a whole lot of hands before it got to me. It's been in a pass-around group, so it's very possible that it's just from being messed with a lot of reviewers taking it apart and putting it back together. So I'm gonna just say it was that. I fixed the detent issue in about 2 minutes, so it's perfectly fine. No real actual quality issues. I think that was just from being torn apart and put together incorrectly at some point along its journey. The Saibu, I will say, is a Benchmade, and I fully accept that a lot of you have had quality issues with Benchmade. I have not. I've been very, very lucky, I guess, or something, or it's not as big a deal as people say it is. I think that's the latter. But this one was perfect. Blade centering's great. There's no lock rock, no blade play. Blade centering's great. It's fine, and the grinds are all even. It's perfectly fine. But I am going to give it to the Wii in this because I know as a whole that Wiis are usually better quality than Benchmades are. So I'm going to give an edge to the Wii in that one. Now in Blade, as I said above, this is the first time this is one of the first of the Wiis that they started really going to the skinnier blades, the thinner blade stock, very thin behind the edge. It says like 17 thousandths behind the edge. It is pretty slicey for what it is, but it is a short, as far as height, short little blade, and it's a bit thicker blade stock than the Saibu is. It's a bit more, I don't know, the blade shape was more for looks, where this is just a simple, useful, functional blade shape. And this is 20 CV, which is basically equivalent to M390 if you're not used to hearing that. I think we're used to hearing that blade steel by now, but some people aren't. I got to give the edge to the Benchmade. It's a little thicker behind the edge. You're looking like 21, 22 thousandths behind the edge versus 17 for this, but this is just a much more useful EDC blade shape. It's a terribly useful blade shape. Got to give it to the Saibu on the blade. Not by much, though. This is still really nice, but it's S35VN versus 20CV. Nothing wrong with S35VN, but 20CV is better. So, got to go with the Saibu on that. Ergonomics. The Saibu is fine. You know how these always go. When I say it's fine, that means that it didn't win. It didn't win. The ergonomics go to the Vapor. We'll explain more now. It's all right. There's nothing really objectionable about it. All these little holes in here that are so cool looking and make it lighter do also give you a little bit of traction, which is good. There's zero jimping. I do kind of wish this jimping was a bit more. I kind of almost wish that these thumb studs were moved up about that far and there was more of a ramp with some more jimping on it. It's something I've always kind of wished with it, but they're all right. There's no terrible hot spots. I have, again, large size hands but skinny fingers, and I can get all the way around it, but not by much. Where the Vapor wins is that it has a front choil, which is really nice on a knife this size, and you can choke up. It does have some jimping here. That doesn't honestly do much. It is bordering on ornamental jimping, as I like to say, but it does at least, and it's got a decent thumb ramp. But you can choke up, and I can fit my hand on this a lot more comfortably. So ergonomically, I have to give it to the Vapor for sure. This is a much more comfortable knife to hold in my hand than the Saibu is. Again, Saibu's fine. It's just this is really good. Carry. This one was not close. They're both pretty thick for the size of the knives they are. You're looking at 0.48, and but this is what, 0.56, so thicker. No deep carry clip because it's got a beautiful milled pocket clip. Don't get me wrong, it looks great, but the little small deep carry clip on the Saibu works much better. And the weight's the same, but this pocket clip works so much better. There's no flipper tab sticking out like there is on the Vapor. They both carry fine because they're not very big knives, but the Saibu carries really, really, really well. Almost a fifth pocket knife. Not quite, unless you have a really deep fifth pocket on your pants. But now deployment. The Wii's fine. The Vapor's good. It does have, you can, if I can do it now, you can thumb flick it, you can Spidey flick it, but it's really difficult to do. It's just because the size of the knife, nothing to do with the design, just the size of the knife. And for those thumb and middle Spidey flick things, you have to have the detent dialed in perfectly, and this one isn't quite dialed in perfectly. It's not drop shutty, but you don't expect that from a blade this size when it comes in a flipper like that. The action on this is good. It's Wii ball bearing, ceramic ball bearing action. It's good, but on a knife this size, the Benchmade Axis lock works so good because you're getting this little tiny light little blade, but you can still just totally free drop it, which is really nice. It makes it really fun to play with. You have the thumb studs. You can deploy it with the Axis lock, so you still have multiple deployment methods, and it's just total free dropper. I really love the action on the Saibu. When I did the initial review, I said that it felt a bit odd for some reason compared to other Benchmades that I've used, and I theorized it was because of the location of the thumb studs or something. Nah, it just hadn't broken in yet. Once it broke in, well, it's been great. Just not quite as nice as my 940s, but it's really good. Just great action on this. Gotta give it to the Benchmade. Value. Benchmade. This one isn't even close. And I can't believe I'm giving Benchmade a win in the value category. That rarely happens. But $214 for 20 CV. Is it a titanium frame lock? No, it isn't. Does it have carbon fiber? No, it's G10. But it's also got Cocobolo wood, which if you guys shop around knife stuff, apparently Cocobolo wood is very, very expensive because it might as well be carbon fiber for the price that people charge for it. But you're looking, I want to get exact, $244.80 versus $212.50. So I was even wrong. I think before I said $214, I think that's what they used to be. It looks like they knocked a couple bucks off somewhere. I'm going by Blade HQ prices at the moment because it's what I got up in front of me. But definitely value win to the Benchmade. You're getting, both of these have good warranties now. Wii has a great dude in the States that you can deal with for warranty issues, and their warranty is really great. But Benchmade, we've known for years and years and years and years, has a great warranty. You don't have to worry about anything being wrong with it. If it came completely screwed up, they'd take care of it. 20 CV steel, so better steel. I think this looks like it cost a lot more to make. If I had to guess, maybe I'm wrong, but both don't look like they were cheap to make. But all this milling, all these inlays, these thumb studs with those little inlays that don't fall out. I've had this thing for quite some time. That couldn't have been cheap. I gotta give definitely the value to the Saibu. So where does that put us in our final score? Pretty easy win for the Saibu, 4-2, which I honestly wasn't really expecting. I thought I'd be a little bit closer than that, but having carried them both a fair bit, I gotta go with the Saibu. It's a better value. I like to fiddle with it more, and I think for really nice knives like this, like nice small kind of gentlemanly sort of knives, that's an important thing, because if you're carrying a knife like this means that probably this is what you have to carry that day because it either looks cool or it's that length. So it's nice to have, when you're forced to carry something this size and that looks good, it's nice to have it also be fun. A lot of knives in this size and this really nice gentlemanly presentation aren't fun. This one still is. Really love the Saibu. Probably going to be on one of my best of lists at the end of the year. The Vapor, I still like it. It was the beginning of a lot of really cool things that Wii has changed, going to the torque screws, thinner blades, stuff like that. But it's really just another really nice small titanium frame lock flipper, where this is, I think, more unique and more fun to have. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. You can agree or disagree in the comments down below. I've been Brian. Have a good one.